welcome into the breakdown. You are really seeing behind the scenes now. There is so much to discuss on the program today. This is why they're all writing and frantically doing their research. We talk about what went wrong for the All Blacks at Twickenham. South Africa, well, they're getting used to playing with 14 men. 2 tests, 2 red cards. Rassie Erasmus isn't happy about it. Beeve, he is trying to name his All Blacks team to take on Wales in a week's time. I think Ruben Love's there, but what position? You'll have to wait and see. And the Black Ferns are after a brand new coach. We talk about the potential suitors very, very shortly. But first, phones away, get ready to go. Let's head back to Twickenham.
This is another bad loss for the All Blacks. This is one of 3 this year where the game's in the balance, the pressure's come on, and ill discipline. Hard to accept ill discipline.
Potentially at times we might have overplayed. There's a small amount of opportunities in a test match and they took more than we did.
The big concerning part is consistently inconsistent.
There's so much good stuff, but not worth it enough.
Yes, we found out about the trials and tribulations and just how difficult Test at rugby can be today. This is The Breakdown, your show, and we want you to have your shout. We've got the QR code about to come up. Send through your questions, your comments on the All Blacks, international rugby as a whole for these 3, and we will get them to answer them across the show. There is the QR code for you. But gents, Jeff Wilson, Stephen Donald, Mills Muliaina, all 3 of you sit here as former All Blacks who proudly wore that jersey. How bad was that loss for the All Blacks today?
I think that gloomy opening, summed it all up. The fact, ultimately...
That was very gloomy.
It was gloomy. I mean, I thought I was down this morning. I'm certainly not, I'm not up anymore.
You mowed the lawns and then you watched that.
Oh, yeah, and like most people at home, when I get a bit frustrated, I go and mow the lawns, up and down, and just going through my mind this game. And I think the most disappointing performance of the season for me from the All Blacks because they had everything to play for. And yes, there's been moments, and we've had games, particularly at Eden Park, protecting a record where we have delivered. It hasn't been pretty at times this year. It wasn't pretty last year, but this one hurts. England is a tough team to lose to, and we essentially gave it away today. And for the second time this season, Wellington being the other game against the Springboks, just bitterly disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, talking
about
how... Did
you mow the lawns as well?
No, like Goldie...
He's got a ride on, I think.
No, I can't believe the staff didn't come in to do it today. But no, there was that scrum after with about 70 minutes gone and the POM squad all were jumping all over each other. I just thought, yeah, this is...
They let it be known.
This is a yuck day to be a Kiwi, to be fair. But, yep, as Goldie said, there were so much things that were riding on it, so much good parts early, and then for it to fall away like it did, Millsy, yeah, it was just a tough one to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think we've been pretty well prepared for sort of a performance that's been like this, similar performances like this throughout the season, right? Yeah, they get off on a really good start and you think this is going to be the game, this is going to be the game where they go to another level. And then the same things kind of happen. Pressure comes on, aren't really quite connecting, and then a result like this. So, yeah, it was gloomy, that opener, but far out. I'm down again. I've got to get myself back up.
Gloomy, down, yuck. Those are all our ways to describe it. Before we get too much into this test, let's catch up with the assistant coach of the All Blacks, Scott Hansen, caught up with Taylor Johnson at Twickenham.
When you did your preview on England throughout the week, you would have curated your game plan to attack them. Did they play the way you expected them to play?
Yeah, I believe so. They went to the air when they needed to. They're very composed, very disciplined in what they did. We didn't quite get those battles the way we needed to at times. A lot of players going back. We were in the circle, but not always having eyes on the ball, and they won some of those scraps, and that compromised their momentum at times. In the first half, when we showed some composure and we got our shoulders through, we had some good opportunities for attack. England, all credit to them, defended really well, spread the field, and we didn't always make the right decision on our attack, whether or not we had to go through them or around them.
What do you think the biggest improvement area is heading into Wales?
Oh, there'll be fair things to look at. I think for us, just getting back, acknowledging what we did well is important. But fundamentally for us, how we attacked, got caught in the middle of the field tonight, weren't able to take the opportunities in front. So there'll be some good pictures for us to learn from.
As a coaching group, how do you set up the week? You know, the last week of the year, the last test week that these guys are going to be spending together. So how do you frame that up?
I think focus on the week. It's really important not to look past it in any regards. You focus on the week. It's important for us now. We always knew it would be. It was either going to be one where we're going for a grand slam or we need to bounce back aggressively, and that's going to be the focus for the week. Disappointed tonight. Proud of our efforts and our actions, but not quite good enough tonight.
Thank you for joining us, and good luck for Wales.
Thanks very much. Cheers, Taylor.
Thanks, Doc.
Just not good enough tonight. That is the words of Scott Hansen. How do you react to that?
I think we've been patient as fans and as commentators and observers of the All Blacks over the last couple of years. We wanted to give them every opportunity to be successful as a group, as a coaching team, and the players. I think now it's judgment time in terms of the fact there have been big moments, and the same things that happened in this test match have happened over a number of test matches this year. They actually, all of them almost happened in the one test match. Inaccuracies, inability to control the ball in the air, ill discipline. Yes, there were moments, but once again, we had a moment of probably 15 to 20 minutes to start the test match, Mills, where we looked great. Last week against Scotland, same thing, 40 minutes, looked fantastic. But the moment the game gets away from this All Black team, they seem to be unable to find a way to resurrect this momentum, to get themselves back in control and composed enough to win test matches.
To keep it for longer periods. I mean, we started with a hiss and a roar, you know, and we got off to a good start and you're kind of there. But you're right, I think the most frustrating part is that it's the same things. You're not quite sure where they're going to. As soon as pressure's applied or a team's coming back, you almost get the feeling that they are going to start making mistakes and fold. So whether it's, you know, I mean, Hansen sort of talks about, you know, they lost the middle of the park and there's some good things to look at. And I just wonder, you know, what they're prioritising at the moment. You know, and there's clearly a frustration there when you look at it from a fan's perspective and a commentator that you say, well, it's not like we haven't got the talent. Okay, that would be a different story.
Do you believe we've got the talent?
I definitely do. We've got experience, plenty of experience. We've got X-factor players. You've ingrained a couple of you know, sort of newbies in there. I mean, that's a solid team. We just, for some reason, whatever it is in the environment, when it gets to heated moments, they just panic. They panic and they lose momentum. Other teams sort of thrive on it, and we can't whistle it back.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, and Goldie touched on what you just mentioned there, as far as losing momentum. The first 20 minutes, it was looking great because I thought we really found something as far as there was a massive disconnect in the English outside backs defensively. Couldn't apply us cut-out balls. We were finding space out there. And then soon, as you guys mentioned, the pressure comes on and suddenly it's 12-11 and 12-10. We start going to a narrow game. We start going back and forth to the short sides. And we go away talking about the game plan, Mills, and sticking to it and the momentum. And you talked about Scotland, Goldie, where it was very similar. For me, the players, they're there. I know in these situations it's easy to go, oh, we need to be able to pick overseas. Or I don't look over the fence at South Africa and go, oh, they've got so much better players than us, you know. So it's just, I think, at times when you see the games like today, that's why it's so frustrating. That 20 minutes, that 30 minutes, when they're sticking to game plans, when they know what they're doing, they can't be contained at times.
There's a question here from Joe that says, simple question, what is our game plan? We need to question the credentials of the entire coaching team, if they've got the players.
Well, and that's exactly what I was going to ask the next question then. So if it's not the players and we've got the talent and the ability to play and execute a game plan based on our skill sets, then clearly you have to look at the preparation and you have to look at the coaching, because they're responsible in terms of delivering the environment, the way that you prepare, the things that you train and practice and lead up to any test match or game that you might play. So you think about that, and are these players then prepared in the competitions before they put on the All Black jersey? In terms of the pressure that they're under in Super Rugby, is that enough for them to be able to deliver at Twickenham, to deliver at Murrayfield, to deliver in Dublin if they need to? For me, at the moment, there are a lot of layers and questions that need to be asked, because clearly at the moment, this group, and look, we've heard all of the chat. everyone's asking the question, they don't appear to be on the same page. The question is, what is the game plan?
Yeah.
We see game plan for moments, but that doesn't win your test matches often a game plan. It's dealing with moments. And this group, to me, they aren't in sync. They're not operating on the same page.
Well, Super Rugby is a different kettle of fish, isn't it? I mean, test match footy is another level. It's right up there. It's the guys that are able to cope with that sort of pressure. And I even go to the point where have we had enough of that pressure from the coaching staff? I mean, they've been highly successful.
Another question in here.
I mean, highly successful in Super Rugby,
But at
right?
international level, have they got what it takes?
I almost
Are we starting to see that inexperience?
I almost get the feeling that we're very reactive. We're reactive. OK, that worked really well. That didn't quite... And we're constantly probably reviewing where we can get a little bit better from some of the things that we didn't quite get right, and then patting ourselves on the back on the things that did, rather than getting a little bit innovative. You know, go out there, win that. It's those moments. You sit there and you think, OK, well, when they're not getting any momentum, they're not getting any sort of gain line or anything like that, they're bound to make pressure, or they're bound to get under pressure, or they just kick the ball away and put ourselves under more pressure by the teams coming back at us.
Can I ask you a question then, Beaver? In terms of this word structure, how much of it is playing and sticking to one game plan, or through the course of 80 minutes, giving and taking exactly what the opposition give you?
Well, structure's there to fall back on, isn't it? If you look at structure in its purest form, it's there to fall back on when things are going a bit awry. You know you've got, as decision makers and leaders, you know you've got something to fall back into to get things going again. But for me, when you talk about the game plans and what have you, if it's working, you don't go away from it. And if the pressure comes on, you don't go away from it. And I guess that's the thing when you look at Murrayfield, you look at yesterday again, we allowed ourselves to fall into a game that England wanted us to fall into. England weren't happy with what was getting dished up in that first 20, and then all of a sudden we start playing narrow, we start giving away, I guess, free entries as far as Ford was just happy. Ford's down by 7 points and he's happy, he's confident in what's coming, that he's going to start having drop goals. I remember seeing the first one and thought, he's down by 7. This is a very bizarre option.
And
just making up for lost times last year.
And funnily enough, I played in a game like that in a semi-final against France, who did exactly the same thing to us as an All Black side in a semi-final Rugby World Cup. Just got a little bit of momentum, and we struggled with the same challenge. But we didn't have the experience of this group in that group. And that's what frustrates me, is 19 of this squad, of this group, were at a Rugby World Cup 2 years ago. 19. There are actually players who are available for New Zealand, and these aren't ones playing overseas, who aren't being considered right now, the likes of a Dalton Papali'i and a Luke Jacobson, and we know Mark Talia headed offshore, but he wasn't considered, he was fit and available. So I look at this and go, I look at the experience of this group, and I can't understand how they're not prepared for these big moments, because these guys have been in the biggest stage. Now, there's a lot of talk about the number of test matches they've played. Oh, it's not 50, 60, 70. But if you've been in 25 to 30 big ones through a Rugby World Cup campaign, we're certainly not better than we were 2 years ago. Yes, we might not have some of the cattle, some of the experience, but I would expect us to be better right now.
I mean, some of the guys who we're missing are, they've been replaced by guys who are going great guns. Obviously, Fabian wasn't out there today, but he's been obviously picked up where Whitelock and Retallick were. And, certainly those sorts of guys aren't what Goldie's talking about there, Kirst.
Have the All Blacks gone backwards, like Jeff is saying, since the 2023 Rugby World Cup? Would you expect them to be in this position, or maybe a little bit further down the track?
I did not expect the All Blacks to be in this position. You talk about 19 players that have been at the Rugby World Cup where we only just lost in a final. We could have won that final.
Remember, with 14 men on the park as well.
Exactly. But this is a team that almost you sense that it's lost its clarity when we are winning big moments. I mean, we've just piled on points. Are they willing to back themselves to even go to to have the killer instinct to go, well, we're going to keep playing because we're playing at our tempo? What we're seeing at the moment is, actually, we're not too sure. Let's just give that momentum back to the other team, and we'll see if we can defend our line. And that's where teams are getting their momentum back, and also, I mean, their tails are up. And then they start scoring points. A plan. Look what Ford did.
Yeah.
We weren't expecting that, but they weren't getting any points when they were going down there. He took it upon himself to go, well, we're going to collect. And so with all that momentum on the All Blacks side, you think, far out, we're in this, we're actually going to extend. You're not. You've done all that work in the first half only to go into the break by 1 point up. You know, you've got to come out of the break now thinking far out, what's England going to bring?
How big a momentum shift after half-time was it, losing Cody Taylor to a yellow card and Cam Roigard to an injury at a similar time?
Yeah, well, the Cody Taylor one for me, and look, you can't say a referee call in a result like this, you're not going to say referee call decided, but this was huge. There's no hiding from the fact that this was a momentum killer for the All Blacks, and then it sort of kick-started England as far as the second half goes. Oh, like, there's so many questions around this, and obviously we're not going to it now, but what's AR jumping in on this for, and what have you, and what's it doing to our game? But this was a huge moment, and as the commentators at the time, TJ and Marshall, were saying, they were on no warning. And look, we can't have sour grapes here because we lost by 14, but this was huge for me.
There was also another card to England later on in that match, and the All Blacks still can't manage to get themselves ahead. Henry Pollock, someone's just mentioned him because he set up the match winner that really sealed the deal for England. Is it fair to really dislike Henry Pollock, is what Brendan's saying?
Well, he's wearing an English jersey. Of course it is.
Yeah, it's fair.
Every English jersey. Look,
what about his smiles during the market?
Yeah, but the same thing. You have to respect what England have done over the last 18 months. Where they've got to, the way that they're playing, they know who they are. They've created some depth. When they've had injuries, they've had other players step up. They've gone and looked at their philosophies. They've picked a 6-2 split on the bench. I'll say it again, a 6-2 split. Have we ever heard of that before here in New Zealand? Little things that other teams are doing. I come back once again, making adjustments, doing things differently. They didn't start with their strongest forward pack. They had all that impact coming off the bench. So, do I dislike him? I respect him as a rugby player. The fact I have to respect England, and I find that hard to say because they were better than us today. And if I look into the future, we're now in a position where we're going to be chasing them for a little while.
Big time. Yeah, I mean, this...
We're chasing them. So they're fourth in the world, we're second at the moment.
Look at the scoreline. And you look at the games last year here in New Zealand when they came down here and pushed the All Blacks in those 2 test matches. And it was a drop goal from George Ford last year that could have beaten the All Blacks at Twickenham. You look at their record in the last, 10 in a row? They're a team. They're a serious team, and we didn't meet the mark. Now, I know we've got a couple of players missing. Now, I get that, understand that, but we always champion the one thing we have is depth. So I think right now we've also got to ask the question in New Zealand Rugby about what they're doing in terms of their focus on developing players for the highest level. Because we're very good at the commercial game right now, outstanding, announcing all these wonderful sponsorships, playing for trophies around the world, inventing things. It's their responsibility to provide the players to the All Black coaches, ready to play Test match rugby. Is our system doing that right now? I hope they're asking themselves some questions. And David Kirk, I'm sure, is doing that right now.
A lot of questions coming in about selections in certain positions and why some players haven't been given opportunities. Ruben Love, would you have expected Ruben Love to have had more game time this season?
Look, in a different season, he'd have definitely had the Scottish game. But right now, I certainly understand why this week's probably going to be his first big start since I think it was the French test in Hamilton. And that's simply because Razor hasn't had the wriggle room of results. And that's why I don't think he's branched too far out.
No, I don't think he's had the confidence to be able to have a bit of wriggle room. I would have. It's easy to say when you're sitting here, but those three big test matches in a row, and he's used basically the same team. He hasn't really, bought anyone else. I sort of mentioned it last week. It's nice to get a little bit sort of injection of guys that haven't sort of played, but you don't make wholesale changes. He hasn't got that luxury. He's gone solely focused on winning a Grand Slam and also results, and possibly on the back end of what happened last year. And some of those players, it's a hard one. When you're on tour, it's been a long year. It's a hard thing to do. Sometimes you've got to actually make a couple of decisions, big decisions to actually, bring guys in that haven't played a lot.
Like who?
Like a Ruben Love.
Into what position?
Well, I just thought, when I said last week about Damian McKenzie starting, he's a guy that came, he's a match winner, right?
Yeah.
Off the bench. You never see that. You seldom see a guy come in. Perhaps that might have been the time where you're thinking, hey, he's had some good, bench appearances. Okay, now we've got the bench sorted. Well, we haven't now. You'd easily say now we haven't got the bench kind of sorted, have we? And we went basically with the same bench. So and as I said, it's easy to sit here and say that, but perhaps that might have been a time to say, hey, let's get someone who's in good form, bring in a Ruben Love who can do an equally as a good job as what Damian McKenzie's been doing off the bench, but you're now going into it thinking, hey, we're starting to grow that side of it. I mean, Cortez Ratima, he hasn't played a lot of game. And then you've
none of these guys have played. Anton Leonard-Brown's hardly seen any rugby, and he's been asked to come off the bench and try and change the course of a test match. Like, I agree with you. The trust in the group, the wider group. If you hear Maro Itoje after the game, first thing he talked about was the wider squad, the 33, 34-man squad, about how they're all in this together. And you watch how England rotated their players, and there's no doubt there's pressure on to perform in the All Black jersey, but there are players who, if you've trusted them to be selected, you've given them a taste, and they've shown you some good things, you need to find out sometimes, and if they can inject that energy, you know, particularly on the third test, Beaver, of 3 in a row, which were really hard. I mean, if you watch Ireland, how good they were today against Australia, I mean, we're pretty fortunate we got them without a game under their belt, because they looked a different team.
Well, I mean, you boys mentioned the Damien McKenzie factor. Clearly, Bodie was carrying something.
So then why was he playing?
Well, OK, fine, start him. But when Bodie's not in a position to be able to kick for touch or take a shot at goal from 40 out, because I don't know if those decisions in that first half where there were kickable kicks and we went corner as opposed to taking the 3, was that because Bodie's quad was a bit sore or what have you? And then when Will Jordan's taking, and respectfully, Will Jordan, great kicker of the ball in field play, but I've never seen him kick for touch. That's where I'm thinking, the guy was the match winner last week. Our champion 10 is not quite right today. Do we just get him on?
Well, the yellow card was probably a perfect example, right? I mean, they had a penalty, they had a chance to go to the line. Obviously, they couldn't replace the hooker, because if Tokiaho had come on, he had to stay on for the whole game.
Yeah.
But that would have been a spot where you'd go for points. You know, you're struggling to get momentum, you get yourself back in the game, you got someone in the bin, you go for points. They tapped it, only to sort of, you know,
do a bomb.
To give it away again. It's kind of probably stuff like that we're sort of going, well, man, why are they making decisions?
So I look at a lot of this game, Kirsty, around defensively in particular. And sorry to interrupt, I know you're going to come in there. There's probably some really great questions here, but ultimately, a million, right? And our fans have got a right to have questions right now. They have, because I think we've been patient. Like I said, we've given the benefit of the doubt. I know other coaches in this position who haven't had the benefit of the doubt. Pretty much every other All Black coach wouldn't have had the benefit of the doubt. And I'll say this isn't Super Rugby. This is international rugby. Well, they need to have a serious look at how this team is clearly not in sync when it comes to dealing with pressure. And I think, I'll just quickly here for me, we spent years trying to work out how to win World Cups. Years and years and years. And we let all of that walk out the door. All of that coaching IP, we left. And those coaches now don't want a bar of New Zealand rugby. That relationship has been burned. We've got some of the best coaches around the world not wanting to do anything to do with New Zealand rugby. That's not good for our game at other levels in terms of educating. It's just helping the rest of the world get better. And so for me, that's probably one of the most frustrating parts, is the fact that we know we've got coaches who are experienced in the international game, and this is a really hard learning curve for this All Black group. It's
probably the byproduct of that handover, wasn't it? You know, if you think about 2011 to 2003, you know, Mitch came in, then we had the new coachings, then we didn't win the 2007, we had this core group. 2007 we didn't win, 2011 same coaching group. But then the transition, you know, Steve Hansen was still in the group, the transition over to Ian Foster that sort of went on there. We didn't get that right. And perhaps there's an element of that that's sort of happening right now, because you talk about the IP that's walked out the door. I mean, those were hard years that we had to endure about losing Rugby World Cups.
We've let it walk. We haven't carried any of it through, it seems. Our players, surely those guys who have been there have done that, Mills. We've got World Cup winners in this group here. Buddy Barrett knows what it takes. How have we not leaned on them? Or have we just decided, no, we're taking what worked in Super Rugby and we're going to put it in the All Blacks? And that's what I see. I don't see it working.
Yeah, and again, that's why we're so frustrated, because we've got the players. We had, it would be a different story if we thought, man, our players aren't good enough. We've got no experience. We've got 19 players who have been there the last Rugby World Cup, and and then we've got some X factor as well. We're not seeing that. We're not seeing the potential that we know that they can get to, and particularly in moments where, over the years, we've been really good. Our mental side, the ability to sort of dictate terms, dictate when we're sort of ahead and riding that momentum. We're almost giving it up too easy, and as a former All Black, that's hard to sort of watch.
Adam says, Goldie for All Blacks coach. If you're looking to make a change, putting your hand up.
Have you seen his record?
I've got the worst coaching record, professional coaching record in New Zealand. Trust me. JK got rid of me. Don't you worry about that. Look, it's easier on the sidelines, I know that, but I can tell you what. Look, so we studied this game, Beaver. You know this game inside and out. You're the most recent of us that has been smart enough to put on the boots and carry on playing. But we're passionate about our game. Our fans are passionate about the game. Like I say, I'm surely, NZR is not accepting these results.
You're quite a positive person. Are you concerned about where the All Blacks group is at? Not coaches, just
well, the group I'm not because of what Millsy said. What Goldie said. The players.
So you're not worried at all halfway through the cycle?
100%. But what I'm saying is, when you've got that, then it's a matter of moulding them to. Goldie's talked about tonight about preparing for international rugby. Well, there's nothing that prepares you to be out when the Ass is on in Twickenham or Cardiff or Eden Park, Millsy. You know that. But if you've been there, done that, talked about your 19 guys who've been through a World Cup before and have sat through reviews when things haven't gone right and learned. You can learn a lot from the blowtorch going on other people, believe me. Millsy learned a lot from the blowtorch on me. But, you know, you understand what's happened. You understand what you're going to do next time. Yeah. And I just think, you know, from a positive point of view, Kirst, and I do...
Give it to me.
I do try and look positive, but there's been the 20-minute spells all year. And, you know, there's the what-ifs, you know, like, to talk about Gilbert Enoka, you know, his job was to say, boys, what if this happens? What are we going to do here now? You know, things like that, Kirst. And like, oh, OK, we've just had 20 minutes where we've coughed up 20 points. What are we going to do next sort of thing? And we've just probably seen 3 or 4 times this year, Goldie, where that's happened. Yeah,
I'll just qualify that 19, those are players across the season. Now, they're not all, clearly didn't all play today. We've had guys like Tupavai ruled out, but those 19 guys should have set the framework for that group right from the very start when they were involved and leaned on their experiences and things they'd learnt over times, 20, 30, 40, 50 test matches, 100 test matches in the current environment at the highest level over the course. We didn't have 19 today, but there was enough for me who had been there and done that and should know and understand and have the clarity to deal with that sort of pressure.
I just wonder, just to go off the back, you know, I know we've got to go to the break, but the what-ifs, right?
You go on,
well, the what-ifs are, it sounds stupid, right? And the one time we didn't get the what-ifs right was 2007. And that's when you sit in the group as a leadership group and you go, what if the bus broke down? Are we mentally prepared to be able to go, OK, we're going down there, but we're going to have to adjust? Those are the little things that you learn in the All Black environment just to try and adjust to that. And we didn't do that in 2007. We kind of just brushed over it. We'd come in as a leadership group and say, every week, this is what we're going to do. What if this happens? Someone will come up with a what if. Quarterfinal happened, we didn't do that. And what happened? That was the result. That's the sort of stuff we're talking about. And I wonder whether right now, this current group are actually going through moments so that the core group, when I'm saying the leadership group, are aligned in that sense. You know, even if it's something such as stupid as a what if, because you're planning if something goes wrong. And right now, there's a lot of it going wrong at the moment, and that's what they've got to do. They've got to come together and try and come up with some of those what-ifs.
There are a million questions coming through. I've just spotted one here saying, come on, breakdown, answer the tough questions. Send in your tough questions for these guys. Send them through. What is it that you want them to answer? We'll save a little bit of time later on in the program, so make sure you do not go anywhere. There is plenty more to come on Sky Sport. The first...
Here they come, past the famous old trophy, the Webb Ellis Cup. Samoa in royal blue, Namibia in their white shirts. 48 points against Brazil last week. Little double pump there from Umaga, and it's for Lalo Milo. He's got support on the side as well, and Jonathan Talmatine reels it in with the right hand.
And the whistle is blown and Wales have the penalty. Welsh rugby needs this. The roar says it all. And from the jaws of defeat, Wales claim a priceless victory. You simply cannot underestimate what that could do for this squad of players.
Oh, there's a huge over Barassi, and he's shot, and Deporter scores.
Smith, Williams can see it. Libok, crossfield. That's the way to finish it. That is the way to finish it. Ethan Hooker gets his first international try. And South Africa put an exclamation mark on what has been a performance of the highest standard in adversity.
Suali dislodges the ball in the tackle, but it's not enough.
Yes, international rugby is coming to an end for the year, but not without another couple of matches to come this weekend. Here is the results from the Rugby World Cup qualifiers. Belgium beat Brazil. They are in the final against Samoa. One of those two teams will bank their spot at Rugby World Cup 2027. We'll talk about them very, very shortly. Wales, they get a victory at home. This is big. This is big for rugby. You've got to be happy for Wales after everything they've been through in the last couple of years. It's been over 800 days since they've won at home. Ireland absolutely smoked Australia with Matt Hansen having a day out. France, well, they were challenged a little bit by Fiji. In the end, overcoming though 34-21. But we've got to talk about South Africa. We know we've got a lot of Springboks supporters that watch the program, so great to have you joining us. But what is going on? Both times in the last two test matches, you have had red cards. Last week, Lord Diaga. This week, Franco Mostert, Rassie Erasmus. He isn't happy about the inconsistencies. Let's catch up with him.
It is what it is. What I say here can't make a difference. I'm just very grateful that we had Ben O'Keefe on the 1AR side and the referee who's experienced, course. Obviously, we've got the referee mic on, and all the noise that was coming from there was difficult just to follow the match. So we later just put off the speaker, and I'm not saying there's in any negative way. It was just very busy and a lot of calls made from there. I always thought we want to get to 20-minute red cards and have a recheck on that. I thought that's the way to go. It's not my place to talk about it. I just thought the balance on calling the headshots was not as equal. So by that I'm not criticizing. That's what I experienced live. And when we review the game, we might come to a different conclusion and just see that we were totally wrong most of the time. And then we have to go and rectify it.
I guess the biggest frustration, not just for Rassie, but for fans, is that these two red cards that the South Africans have picked up in the last 2 weeks have been straight red cards, Jeff. So that means they have lost a player for an entire match 2 weeks in a row.
Well, they're physical players, South Africa, and at the moment they're getting punished for that because when they get it slightly wrong. And to me, we're getting in dangerous territory now because, and we've seen across the whole weekend, not just this weekend, no Mills, Beaver, but last weekend, same thing. They're very quick now to jump on these. And the precedent was set with the first on-field full red. And James Dolman, I think, almost felt a responsibility because he would have seen all the footage from last weekend. There's virtually the same contact and gone, you know what? World Rugby's watching. I can't afford to just let this one go. I can't afford to go to a yellow. I can't afford to go to report. I'm going to have to do the same in front of the world. And that's just ridiculous, absurd. The fact that Lou Diaga got 4 weeks for that now, they've got to be very careful what they ask for, because if we go and actually dissected some of these games for them and pick up the things that they missed, that they didn't get, the collisions, and I think that's what Rassie Erasmus is talking about, we'd have a very, very different game.
Well, for me, unfortunately, this could be another show, maybe in the summer season around the refereeing.
Oh, you want an extra?
For me, World Rugby doesn't realise that we're in the entertainment business. And I'm all about the safety of players and their heads and that. But to have the time that's wasted for these decisions to be made, to have a referee come in on things like Cody Taylor's hand situation, the line out, and this is to give some balance.
Yeah.
The try that England got disallowed, there isn't a line out that goes on in any rugby where, as a back, it is not your job, either defensively or on attack, to come within that 10 before the line out's over. It is your job to sneak that extra metre or two. I mean, when you're slow, you have to sneak to get the ball flat.
But they weren't even looking at it. If you went to every other line out, it's exactly the same thing.
Every game that's ever played, people sneak inside that 10. Yeah. And then we're ruling out a great try because of it.
Yeah, and the thing was, they weren't even looking at that offside. They're actually looking at the hold on a sec. The knock-on's there, but we'll find something else, you know. I mean, that's what I mentioned this morning. We might as well just gone into the first half and found about.
And there's 3 minutes gone. There's 3 minutes gone of your couch time.
Yeah, very
Wasted.
Frustrating.
But what I should say, though, is how good is South Africa?
To be winning these games 2 weeks in a row is amazing.
2 weeks in a row, and they're down to 14 men, and they just go about their business, and then they find a way, however they need to, they just put pressure on it. Italy were in this for long periods of time, and I think that they even thought to themselves, Mills, maybe we can taste a little bit of history, and then the Springboks they just went up a gear, and it doesn't matter whether it's 13. They were down to 13 men. They scored a couple of tries when they were down to 13 men. They are some sort of rugby team at the moment, which everyone is chasing.
What about the Wallabies on the other side?
Ouch.
Because they have had a bit of a tough time on this.
Don't come to me with this. Go to Beaver, his favourite team.
When you look at the teams that played England, Italy, and now being pumped by Ireland, it must be said, we were probably expecting more from the Wallabies considering what they did earlier this year.
Absolutely, and when you think about who's not there, what's happened, look, they had to get James O'Connor straight out of club rugby and go, look, we've got to try and change something. Iki Tau had to be rushed in from Exeter, no Skelton. I think it just shows the depth in Australia is still the biggest issue and depth in key positions.
They've got to be knackered, Mills, this group of players. They've played virtually every game this year. I mean, you go through all of Super Rugby, then they play every Wallabies test match, 3 test matches against the Lions, but yeah, they were poor.
And their key players actually had a lot of Super Rugby sort of time as well. You know, you think about Harry Wilson and sort of what he done in Super Rugby, they will be tired, but gee, I wouldn't want to be in the Australians sort of keep right now 3 losses on tour. That is tough.
That is very tough. They have the next Rugby World Cup in 2027. Who will be there? Before the draw comes out, there is one position left. Samoa have been made to find the hard road in their qualification. They take on Belgium on Wednesday. Do they win? Do they secure that final spot at the Rugby World Cup, Mills?
Yeah, they do. I'd love to see Belgium get in, but not at the expense of Samoa. No way, no. They get in. They get in.
Beaver?
Same as Millsy. Yes, they get in, and yes, I want to see them there. But yeah, I wouldn't mind a trip to Belgium at some time.
For a qualification match.
Yep.
It'd be nice to see them with all of their players available. I mean, that's the really tough part for Samoa. When it came to their qualifications, they had a number of players who chose not to play and play in the NPC as well. So I think there's some challenges around their game. I'm just hopeful they get through. I really am. I've got visions of them in 91, you know, in 95, and being part of Rugby World Cups and having great players. And I'd love to see them get back to that.
It's definitely another show. I mean, I don't know why you'd have a Moana Pacifica side in there and then guys that have been playing in it unavailable to play for the Nationals. Isn't that what we've brought the Moana Pacifica team in there to enhance and not get to this point? And so
but they'll survive, right? They'll get through.
Oh, they'll get through.
And that draw is coming up on the 3rd of December for Rugby World Cup 2027. Looking ahead to the Black Ferns, who have just wrapped up their Rugby World Cup campaign. They say goodbye to Allan Bunting. He will not reapply for the head coaching role of the Black Ferns. Let's take a moment, though, to pay him his respect, because he has had an incredible record with both the New Zealand Women's Sevens program and the Black Ferns as well. Here it is. And when you look at this CV, like, this is seriously impressive, Beav, if you're any coach to have this sort of titles on your resume.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable with the Seven Sisters. They consistently perform, and if you've ever been lucky enough to watch them live during that time, they were a treat to watch. The skill level as such, and then had the tough job of following on from that World Cup here in Auckland behind the legend that is Wayne Smith coaching, and the miracle job he did on that. And anything other than, winning with this group was going to be a failure, and I guess, unfortunately, that's how Allan Bunting finishes.
Yeah, after winning Commonwealth Games gold medals, Olympic gold medals, Sevens medals as well. What do they need to look for in their next coach, do you think, Jeff? Because we thank Bunce for his service and then we look forward. We've got another World Cup to plan for.
I'd like to think they get a vastly experienced coach out there to go and almost mentor the program in terms of taking it to the next level, to mentor the coaches who have been developing here in New Zealand through Super Rugby Aupiki. But I think a little bit like... Ted, what are you up to? Sir Graham Henry, you're around? But I'm not necessarily saying Ted, but what I am saying is that he came in at that group with Wayne Smith and Mike Cryan, and they were obviously class and world-class coaches, but in regards to just managing that program to make sure they're dealing with the what-ifs, all of that IP, it'd be very difficult, given they don't play a huge number of test matches, to have inexperienced coaches come in and try and learn on the fly, because for me, there's not enough games, there's not enough prep time. You need someone to, I think, bring a whole lot of experience, a whole lot of information, someone who's, I think, understands New Zealand rugby, but also understands exactly where the team's trying to get to.
Yes, and we've got some nice, decent candidates, haven't we, for the role? I think the key thing is starting now. Well, we've gone the last World Cup when Smithy and that were involved. We sort of got in there sort of fairly late. We did it again this time round. The resource has got to happen now. You've just got to start building towards it rather than getting to 12 months out and you're kind of almost on the back foot trying to get players. And the big thing is consistency in playing more games. That's what they've always sort of found. And, so the All Piki will start soon. I think there's a few more games, but it's when that stops. You know, what are they going to go to in the competitions that they need to be able to sustain sort of that momentum that they've built off Opiki?
I know you're quite hot on this, so I just want to quickly ask you, do you think they need coaches that have been coaching in Opiki, that have been coaching the women's game specifically, or do you think they can just get the best coaches out there like they did in 2022?
I think it's just a combination of both. The fact that people who have been in and around it understand the players, but then you need those who understand the highest performance, how they can elevate the program. To find those little things that you might not see in Opiki, that you don't get that experience through, and so you learn from. Whereas if you're having to learn that, you might not even see those things happening around you, and before you know it, you've lost another test match, you know. And look, I guarantee you that's what John Mitchell has done at England. That was a champion England side before he got there. He has just managed that group through to winning a World Cup title. That's what he's managed to do. He would have brought all of his experience from coaching all around the world. I get a sense there's probably another Kiwi out there somewhere who could do the same for the Black Ferns.
If it's not Ted, who is it?
Oh, look, I'd love to approach someone overseas who wants to come back to New Zealand. What's Dave Rennie up to? Do you know? What about Stephen Donald? Is that what we're thinking?
He spends a lot of time with Ted, doesn't he?
He is coaching.
Well, I'm just
mentoring him.
Yeah, he'd be my assistant. Yeah, Ted would be my assistant.
You're coaching your daughters with a rugby team, right? So you could probably...
Hey, mate, look... I know Jamie's busy, but I mean, the fact that, you know, look, I'm just saying that to me, having that sort of experience at that level, I think you're just going to find and learn so many more things. If you don't have it, just hard when you're in the heat of battle. It's hard to do.
OK, well, I tell you what, we're talking about international rugby here, but Super Rugby is not too far away from coming back. Super Rugby round is coming to Christchurch in 2026 on Anzac weekend. It is going to be blockbuster. 3 days, 10 teams, all in one great location.
Here comes Richie McCaw and the All Blacks.
I'll turn it over.
He turned over. Danger here. Jones puts the kick in for Shanklin. Shanklin gets the bounce. Change of direction. Carter. Carter goes short to Tuiali'i. Gets his pass off now to Mills Muliaina for the corner. Yes. Down he goes. Try. Looking to straighten it up. Muli, at least Laulala. Rokafoko with all his pace. Joe Rokafoko. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Whoa!
Allan Jones. Flat pass to Anscombe. Intercept. Beauden Barrett. 100 test matches and an early try. He's done nothing wrong at fullback, Johnny McNichol. And here's an intercept. He's got to do it again, you know. And he goes. Beauden Barrett.
Got to have your day when you've got the silver boots on.
They've said that they won't do it in public today, so they went and did it in the dressing room. They are standing there and accepting the challenge. And who's going to give first?
It's a standoff.
Fox floats it to Kerwin. Kerwin trying to go outside Hadley and screams home. Fox. Taylor. Kerwin in from the wing. Kerwin again. Stop. Fox. The switch to Stanley. Stanley. Yes.
Taylor. Here's a try. This is Thorne and Rokafoko's with him. One man to beat. He can do it. Can they stop him? What a reply. Here it is for Ali Williams, the big fellow. Can he play Aussie rules? New Zealand rules. This is Williams. Oh, what a step. How about that? Shane Williams. He's Gaston. And here it comes for Shanklin. Oh, wonderful. Spencer, all the way.
One more early alarm to go, and the 13th and final test for the All Blacks in 2025. Set your alarm early, 3:30 a.m. in Cardiff, Principality Stadium. Good memories there, Mills?
Great memories. What a wonderful stadium. Wonderful. I mean, that early game that we seen before where we almost lost was Richie's first game as captain. You could not hear a thing. Wonderful supporters, and as I said, when the roof's closed as well, hard high balls to catch in those when the roof's closed, but magnificent stadium.
There's been some moments against Wales, haven't there? But Beav, you're going to put your Scott Robinson selectors hat on and tell us who you think should play this weekend. He's already signposted. There will be changes. So how many in your team?
Yeah, I wanted to make changes too, simply because some guys haven't done anything other than carry tackle bags, and I for one know what that's like. So I'm going to give a few a crack here, but I thought it was important though, when you're going to give guys a crack, that they still needed to have experience and quality around them, because there's going to be times when the Welsh are going to have their times. So it's good to have some of the experienced boys out there, but obviously the loose forward trio, Lakai's been getting plenty of footy, but Wallace Atiti at 8.
So you've swapped them round? Give us why?
Wallace at 8. I like Wallace at 8. I wanted Duplessis Karifi to get a start, and I thought Peter Lakai, no Sammy Penny out, left on the tour. Obviously our reserve props now come to starting. Fabian Holland didn't play this one. Scott Barrett there for the experience of Cody Taylor. And I wanted to see that midfield go again.
And Finlay Christie.
Yeah, Finlay Christie, because hasn't had any footy, and again, another experienced head around a whole lot of guys who are going to get a crack, and I just think it's important, Millsy, to have a bit of experience around these boys when you're blooding a few.
Yeah, I like it. I don't mind that side, especially the substitutes as well. Mafaleo gets an opportunity.
Couple of debutants.
Yeah, Mafaleo. Who's my other debutant?
Caleb Tangitau.
Oh, yes, I have got Tangitau sneaking in there. I've pulled him out of absolutely nowhere just because...
well, you haven't. Jeff will be happy with that.
Well, Goldie will be happy, but...
Well, there's not enough Islanders in the squad as it is.
Well, I've just bumped it up with Tangitau in there.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, I thought, you know, it's a game we're not going to lose, and he's a guy that is clearly on... So, he is clearly on the radar.
You've banked this.
I banked it.
You've banked this game.
Yeah. Long before they won on full
I love the fact Caleb Tangitau's getting an opportunity, because he started the season on fire and he's got straight out and out gas. And you can see there his footwork and his power and all those sorts of things. They beat Japan. Japan have been playing some tough opposition. We're clearly at their best. Wales took a kick at the end of regulation time to win. If this game's close at half-time, any chance you guys get nervous?
No, because you were a part of a game where you put 145 on Japan. So
that was like 30 years.
I'm confident.
That's like 31 years ago. Seriously. So I mean, you've got no doubts. And we can't forget what happened last year against Italy. We made hard work, and it wasn't a game where we played everybody else.
No, we rolled the top team out.
We rolled the top team out again, Mills. So you can't... Look, I know Wales have had it incredibly tough. No doubt about it. I don't have any doubt we should win this game. But if it gets uncomfortable, where does it leave us?
It won't get uncomfortable.
OK.
I mean, it illustrates our point again about, I'm confident that's a solid team.
So
when you talk about, you know, where we're at with the All Blacks and we've kind of lost, we've got the players. You know, to roll out guys there and then sort of implement them with, you know, with your sort of experienced guys. Even your captain rolls out again because he's had played as much. That's a good team.
The tough part about this for me, Kirsty, is though, what if some of them have a blinder? And then the question goes, why haven't they played sooner? I mean, that's the reality.
That's what you want, though.
That's what, exactly.
That's
but will the result in this game this weekend make us look at this season any differently?
No, I don't think so. You can't, because a Grand Slam was what they needed to win. That was the pass mark, wasn't it? And they didn't get it today. 12
from 14 was going to be the pass. I think with that English game, I guess, determined the success or otherwise.
Was it more the nature of some of the losses that give you most cause for concern? Because that's what's the concern for me. And the fact that there have been other games which we've won, which certainly haven't been comfortable. I mean, have we had a complete performance? Maybe South Africa at Eden Park. Was that probably our best of the year?
Considering the opposition, yes.
Yeah. And where do we see ourselves compared to South Africa right now?
I know, they're next level right now. They're so connected, it's not funny. They could play with 13 men and still beat teams, you know? I mean...
They do, apparently.
Probably on purpose as well, eh?
Don't throw that
No,
iPad
some
at
great
me.
questions from you, Jeff, but let's go to the people, shall we, and get some questions from your shout since you've been sending through questions throughout the last hour. Jamie from Hamilton says, do we put too much emphasis on winning the Bledisloe or the end-of-year tour instead of developing our wider group? Do we need to decide what trophies are more important, just like the Europeans do?
No, I think we just haven't had the mindset of being able to rejig the team a couple of times. We've solely gone on playing our best side. Scott Robinson said that they're going to play the best team for the team they're playing against. They didn't do much chopping and changing or bringing guys in. So I don't think so. I think the Bledisloe Cup, apart from the Rugby World Cup, is probably our most favourite and cherished.
Won that.
We've won that. We've won it for many years. But I suppose the guys on the other side of the ditch haven't done very well either, on this end of year tour. So where does that put us?
Ronnie says, if Razor needed some help, let's say, who would you bring in to help him? Would you bring in a Jamie Joseph? You've mentioned him already on the show, around the Black Ferns.
Well,
Is it an option?
When you look at Kiwis available, Jamie Joseph and Dave Rennie, I don't know if Tony Brown's available, but they're the obvious ones. They're the three that jump out at you. Obviously, Gaddy's probably started to drift into the sunset. There's not too many others, big name experience that you'd add.
OK, well, now we wait and see what happens in Wales this weekend, and we will be back next Sunday on The Breakdown to review the season as a whole. Thanks for joining us.
The history of New Zealand against Wales, one of rugby's most celebrated clashes at one of the sport's great grounds.
It's by far the best stadium to play at. With the Welsh fans, they're amazing. We relish this opportunity, and it's always a highlight when we come here.
The anthem
Bringing around Principality Stadium.
All the Welsh can sing.
Well, it'll be obviously Welsh passion. I mean, that's the biggest thing they've got going for their team at the moment.
Fi'n credu bod yr All Blacks mynd I colli.
last time Wales won 1953.
Such a lethal side when they have a sniff of blood and they finish you off.
If it sits up, it does.